Dum 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 dum. Happy day, everybody. Good to see you guys. We are live for class. Today's topic is how to attain psychic clarity, healing yourself, mind and body and spirit to the optimal state, while also increasing your psychic intuition and spiritual connections, and avoiding a lot of those pitfalls and mistakes that a lot of empaths and psychics fall into, okay? If you're catching the replay, type hashtag replay in the comments, and we are live for this class. So if you're here catching the live, please say hi, say what's up. Don't be a creepy lurker. Let's not just awkwardly stare at each other, and please participate. Enjoy yourself. Make yourself known. All right? So we're going to talk about how to level up psychic abilities. And if you're already pretty intuitive, if you're already a pretty perceptive person, then this is going to teach you how to balance those and enhance those abilities, as well as make sure that you're following the right guides, following the energies that have your best interests at heart, in a way of speaking, okay? Because there's a lot of us that can tune into some kind of voice, we can tune into some kind of information field, but it's not necessarily the best one for you to listen to, right? Just like if you took advice from a stranger out in public, it's not necessarily the epitome of a role model that you'd want to be listening to and taking advice from, right? So just because we have intuitive information coming in doesn't mean that it's the best advice for us to follow, okay? We need to actually have an internal inventory of where are our attachments. What are we attached to? What are these entities or these information fields that we're tuned into where we're getting our information, okay? And the good thing about this, and I always tell people, there's nothing special about being psychic. Nothing whatsoever. It's something that's natural to us. It's innate to us, okay? Animals naturally have this ability. You know how when animals, they know a disaster's coming, they get out of the area, they tend to communicate. Yeah, sure, they have mating calls and stuff like that, but a lot of what animals do is they communicate telepathically. They communicate mind to mind, and they're just part of this natural harmonic pattern. Animals are naturally psychic. You know, there's so many cases of like seizure alert dogs, or dogs that are supposed to, help kids with their blood sugar or whatever, going off, alerting when the kid is at school, miles away from the home. So many instances of animals knowing when things are happening very far away, and even pet psychics say that animals can even see what you're doing when you're at school, when you're at work, when you're going about your day. So we're actually disconnected from our natural pattern. We're actually disconnected from our nature of being psychically connected. And it's because we live in this sickness system, slave system, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't teach us how to be actually human. Okay? They're trying to make us into something other than human and disconnect us from the creation pattern that surround us, okay? The natural phone line to God that we all have innately inside of us. So, how do we do this? Say hi if you're in the chat, guys. Sometimes my comments don't display. I guess it's doing that right now. But let's see. I'm going to try refreshing. There we go. I see it. How's it going, Reva? Brandon, glad you could make it. Chloe, good to see you. Thank you for tagging everybody. What's up, Lauren? Good to see you guys. Okay, cool. Yeah, say hi if you're watching. Type hashtag replay if you're catching the replay. Now, how do we actually go about this? So there's a couple of primary psychic sensitivities that you'll develop as a result, as a side effect of you remembering how to be more human, okay? And what I'll say is, if you feel like you're a pretty unintuitive person, I was definitely in those shoes years ago. I felt extremely disconnected from anything intuitive. Other than I always felt like I could tell if somebody liked me or not. But past that, I was very blocked, and I couldn't even feel energy. It took me months of training to even be able to slightly feel energy. And some people are like that. So if you're one of those people that are very numb, don't be discouraged. But I'm going to teach you in this class how to get really deeply embodied and how to start activating these natural intuitive abilities that all humans are supposed to have when they're in balance. Okay? Cool. Nothing special about it. So a couple of senses that we develop. Somatosensitivity is the primary sense. Okay, if you want to go about it, in my opinion, in what I've experienced, training with living masters from around the world, the primary sense that you want to develop is your somatosensitivity. Okay, a fancy word of saying clairsentience or empathy, being able to feel sensations in the body deeply. Okay, because when we have something coming up that we don't like to feel, we tend to shut it down. We tend to bury it. Okay, I always like to say, it's not that you don't like an experience, it's you don't like what comes up inside of you, right? Even if it's cold or hot, there's a coping mechanism that's surfacing inside that we don't want to feel, right? The more we're willing to put our mind inside the sensation and go into the feeling, the more that you can resonate, you can embody your mental presence, let your mind soak into the body like a sponge, and you become more sensitive. Is this making sense? And this is also really important to see where we're ignoring things in our body, where we're blocked, where we need to reclaim space in our body. Because a lot of us, especially if you don't look like the picture of health, we have some kind of, you could call them entity attachments, where we have unnatural drains on us that are taking away our life force energy, that are disconnecting us from the creation pattern inside and around us. We need to be able to feel so that we can give the instruction to the mind and the body to come back home and fully recognize what it is to be a human, fully experience the feelings, the roller coaster of sensations and emotions that happen as a result of being human. Okay? So again, this is a natural side effect of our nature. Now, somatosensitivity happens by slowing down the mind and being willing to tune into the feelings in the body without any stories, without needing to protect ourselves. So all this stuff in the spiritual community about you need to protect yourself, you need to put a shield out around you when you go into public, that's really driving you deeper into separation consciousness if you're believing that, okay? And I understand a lot of empaths are going to say, but I get overwhelmed by people's energy. Okay, but it's because you're living in friction. It's because you're living in judgment. It's because you're living in some semblance of separation. If you're empty, nothing can stick to you. And so the process of developing the somatosensitivity, as well as attuning to higher psychic abilities, is a process of unbecoming, not becoming, okay? You don't need to become psychic. You already are psychic. You've just forgotten how. Your awareness has become disconnected from God. Does that make sense? So we need to peel off these layers of identification, because it's these attachments to information patterns, these identifications that we have that create this false sense of self, that separate us from source consciousness, that separate us from being connected and harmonized with the creation pattern that's all around us. Is this helpful? Are you guys following what I'm saying so far? I'm going to close some programs on my computer so it runs a little faster. It looks like it's struggling a little bit. Give me just a moment. All right. Hopefully that's better. Yeah, let me know if this is resonating with you guys. I'm not getting comments, so if you guys are commenting, the Facebook, the comments are so glitchy sometimes, but it's okay. I'll read your comments afterwards. So somatosensitivity is a really important part of this. Being willing to feel, letting the mind soak into the body, coming out of expectations. If we have expectations and we're very externally focused, yeah, but Max, this is going on in the world, we're about to be at war, or there's all of this crazy immigration stuff happening, or the money system is about to collapse, or so-and-so is being an asshole to me, or how could you be at peace inside yourself when there's so much chaos happening? This is because your awareness is very externalized. You've kind of become poisoned by the collective of this negative attention, this negative energetic attachment. And so we need to come internally, come inside. And a lot of us, by the way, especially a lot of psychic people, we have very upward flowing energy. This is not exactly natural. Oh, thank you for bringing that. Okay, now I have a second laptop. I can see your comments now. Of course, Janice, happy to share this. Tom, good to see you, brother man. Katarina, glad that it's resonating. Linda, cool. All right, glad you're catching up. But we need to come inside. We need to get out of this externalized awareness, okay? Actually, you would think in order to become psychic, you need to really be very external. Like, I need to listen really hard to this stuff. But if you purify these impurities inside, you actually naturally become extremely intuitive. And you have a sense of clarity that even escapes a lot of psychics, okay? I'll just say right now, a lot of people that consider them psychics, half the time when they're listening to their intuition, they're listening to their own delusions, okay? If you're, and this, I know it's going to upset people, but look, when you're taking substances a lot, you're listening to an information field that is not human, that is not your own. The drugged mind sees nothing but its own illusions, okay? And if you've trained yourself to become psychic with drugs, then there's still that wiring that's there that is dependent on another state of consciousness that is not human, okay? It's important that we're more evolved as humans than other substances. If you need something else in order to bring you to this higher state, you're essentially rejecting your humanity and submitting to an authority that's more evolved than you, instead of evolving yourself inside out and purifying. Okay? My clients become very psychic and intuitive, even if they weren't before, because they're starting to purify all of these layers of false identifications. And if you identify with a substance addiction pattern, or you identify with a way of being, a lot of us identify with like, oh, I'm neurodivergent, I have PTSD, I have, whatever, I have poor memory. These are all identifications that will continue to reinforce themselves and create this rigidity that does not allow you to be more open to information. Does this make sense? We need to let go of this internal rigidity so that we can be fully open to receive. So that means letting go of structures, letting go of what you hold to be absolute truth. Because everything that you deem as absolutely true creates rigidity in your system, and it prevents you from knowing yourself on a deeper level, which is that there is no you. You don't exist. But we like to feel like we have importance. We like to feel like we have significance, so we attach to certain programs and patterns. And the more that we're doing this, we're in a mental system instead of being more in tune with the energy of the body, okay? The mind, the brain itself, is like a private server that's disconnected from everything else when we're overusing it. Most of us are overusing the brain. You need to come out of the brain, come into the heart, come into the stomach. These are two intelligence centers that are highly intuitive, much more so than the brain, which is, again, its own private server that likes to use logic to create a false reality. So developing our somatosensitivity, we come out of the head. We get more in touch with the heart. We get more in touch with the gut area. And that means the mind is soaking into these areas like a sponge and activating these areas energetically, okay? Then they become more prominent, more active, and more sensitive to pick up on intuitive information. I believe in everything and nothing sounds good. Yeah, and I don't know anything, so don't listen to me. Let this just inspire you to maybe explore something, experiment with something, right? And that's another thing. The more that you let go of these structures, the more that you can be open to experimentation and not front-loaded with your own preconceived notions and frameworks that would skew any results. Have you ever heard a psychic say, like, don't tell me any information before I read you? I don't want to know because it's going to bias my reading. The more that you can be in emptiness, the more psychic you will naturally be. And guess what? The nice thing about that is the more healed you will naturally be. The skin clears up. The organ problems, dysfunctions clear up. Speech patterns that are impediments clear up. Relationship problems clear up. Everything starts clearing as you purify and become more empty. And yeah, you become more intuitive because that's your nature. There's nothing special about it, understand? Now, somatosensitivity is one thing, so we need to be fully willing to feel everything. You need to be fully willing to feel your experience of being human. Assess yourself right now. Where do I not like to experience part of my human experience? I really don't like being cold, or I really don't like being in group situations. I really don't like being at work. I really don't like when the government tries to control me. I really don't like vegetables. Whatever it is that you have resistance to, it's something to go into and neutralize. Because we need to be able to fully feel without resisting. Okay? Is this making sense? As a teacher, I'm constantly exposed to an avalanche of emotion. Reggie, I also believe that's in your life path, if I remember correctly, that's your emotion. But sure, so it's even more important for you, Reggie, to be in emptiness all the time. To be in emptiness, we need to be out of judgment, right? It's important that you have good character and virtue, you're in touch with your humanity, but also important that you understand that everything is allowed. Because if you go into judgment, energy is going to stick to you. And then that's when people are going to be like, oh, I don't like being empathic. How do I tune it out? How do I turn it off? It's too much. Because you're not in emptiness. You have friction inside of you, energy is going to stick. Okay? So is it overwhelming to be extremely psychic? Well, when it's new, maybe. When it's new, because it's something you're not used to. I remember the first time I really started opening up, I think I was eating like basically just fruits and veggies for a month straight and meditating for the first time in my life, doing like a structured regimen after I got out of the military. And I started like basically tripping. Like I was seeing my hands melt and colors kaleidoscoping and stuff. And I was at work, I was totally sober. I think I had just had a grapefruit. And I was like, what is happening right now? And I could hear my blood moving. I could feel such a sensitive level inside, and it was like, fuck, this is a lot. It was pretty intense, right? But it was just new. So we have to relax into that. And speaking of, if you're living in that edgy energy all the time, it can be very helpful to eat like heavier foods, like soups and stews and maybe like sandwiches, things that are heavier foods, pastas. That'll help to take that edge off your energy if it's very strong. But also be willing to experience. Don't just try to comfort eat. Okay? That's going to develop your somatosensitivity. Another thing that's going to really develop as you become purified is your claircognizance. Okay? Claircognizance is an inner knowing. It's just knowing, right? Some of the most valuable information that I get when I'm working with people or just conversing with people is I talk to their information fields. And I'll ask them, not just ask the person to their face, but I'll ask their energy field internally. I say, are you ready for this? Is this something that you want? And I'll get a very clear answers. Whether it's like there's an inner conflict, like I want it, but I'm scared, or like, no, I'm not ready, or yes, I'm fully ready, which may be totally different than what the person is telling me. But claircognizance is an ability that comes naturally, again, as a result of this purification process. So we're purifying the mind layer. We're purifying the energetic layer by releasing these resistances, okay? Resistances to experience, resistances to possibilities as well. Because if we resist possibilities, then we're going to have mental tension. And the mental tension is going to create blocks in the energetic layer, which creates energetic blocks. Okay? Mental tension, then we have energetic blocks, then that leads to physical dysfunction, to the point where you're so cluttered and you're so kind of filthy with mental impurities and energetic impurities, physical impurities, that you can't make heads or tails of what's going on. So, of course, no wonder you're not psychic if you're if you're feeling blocked there, because you have so much noise going on, right? It's like when you're flipping through channels on the TV, or at least how it used to be, and then there's white noise. There's just static. It's just all this noise. You can't really make sense of it. You can't make sense of a clear picture. That's what's happening inside of us all the time. Or a pond that gets stirred up very turbulently, and then all of the dirt gets kicked up. So it goes from clear into this murky quality. That's what's happening in a lot of us, because we have so much going around. We don't have clarity. So, of course, we're not as intuitive as we could be. Or if we are intuitive, maybe we have so much shit inside that we're listening to our shit to give us advice. And we call it this higher self-intuition. And we wonder why we keep ending up in shit situations. Because you're getting shit advice. So it's going to bring you into the shit. Okay? So purification is really, really important. There's a lot of psychics, unfortunately. Maybe they have a natural ability for it. They have very active third eyes or open crowns. But they don't do a lot of purification work. And so as a result, they have these, false gods, these false attachments that they see as higher wisdom. So it's worth purification. And if it's triggering for you to release the attachment to this guide or to this intelligence source, then that's a point of tension as well. And that's an impurity. Is this making sense? Everything is just an interesting point of view. If it can't be an interesting point of view, that's going to show you where you have mental impurities, holding tension in your system, blocking you off from the information pattern around you. Okay? So claircognizance comes about the more that we go into emptiness. As you go into emptiness, you can just feel intuitive information more. It's very subtle compared to how the mind acts and how it communicates to you on a regular basis, the things that you're normally hearing in your mind. Claircognizance can be very, very subtle. It can start as a feeling. Sometimes it comes as words. Sometimes it comes as like an intuitive leaning, like you just kind of get the sense that something is a certain way. Okay? And what's really important here for allowing yourself to go into emptiness is that you have trust, that you have confidence. If you don't have the trust that everything can be okay long enough for you to go fully into emptiness and let go of all of your attachments to your plans, to your expectations, to all these things you need to happen, if you can't allow yourself to go empty and let go of all that stuff, then you're going to have a really hard time with claircognizance. Okay, and again, claircognizance is this inner knowing. It's this natural ability to just know what's there. And so emptiness is really important for developing these abilities. And it's what a lot of spiritual teachers seek to embody, but it escapes a lot. Okay, that's what really all of these arts are supposed to be about, right? The yoga and the qigong and any of these internal arts that develop and refine the internal chi. It's really supposed to be about ultimately achieving this embodiment of emptiness. That's what we're trying to get to. Because anything that's not empty is basically, you could call it filth, you could call it impurities, whatever. It's attachment. It's stuff that doesn't belong. It's not native to your purest essence of self. So emptiness is really helpful. Things that'll get you out of emptiness is needing to move all the time, needing to talk all the time, needing to entertain yourself, draining your dopamine all the time, scrolling on screens, watching TV, movies, always needing to be engaged in something. And one of the things that'll happen when you start meditating, a lot of people say, oh, I can't meditate. Well, you are meditating. You just don't like to feel what comes up. Because you'll get racing thoughts. As you start to go into emptiness, your mind will give you all these reasons to move. Oh, I get really itchy right now. I get really restless right now. Oh, God, I really have to do this thing. I want to just nudge my shoulders and move a little bit. This is preventing you from going deeper into emptiness. Okay? Don't achieve emptiness, achieve an inner cheerleader. Well, naturally, Tom, that comes about. The cheerfulness, this quality of inner cheerfulness comes about naturally if you're cultivating your humanity. And I will say, there are people, I have met people that are just like void. They look like zombies. They're just like literally, they've lost their humanity and they're just somewhere else. But that's also not a particularly embodied consciousness, okay? If we're practicing somatosensitivity and connecting to the body and cultivating our character, then lacking cheerfulness is not a problem you'll have because you'll have a naturally open heart. Okay, and if your heart is open and connected and harmonized with the creation pattern, then you will be a cheerful person. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. As we purify, as we release these programs and neutralize these emotional charges and learn how to strip away these layers of self, we can go deeper into this embodiment of what it really means to be human, and naturally psychic abilities awaken. Okay? So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. Let me know in the comments if this is helpful, or hopefully it's not too abstract. I try to explain in a way that's practical and grounded so most people can understand. Doing a meditative practice every day will really help you, especially one that challenges you. Because if you want to open up your intuitive abilities, you need to be willing to get uncomfortable with what you're not currently comfortable with, okay? Your current state of consciousness is comfortable where you live in, even if it sucks. It's comfortable because it's familiar. You need to be willing to challenge yourself, to where you have to stretch the limits of your mind in a sense. You have to stretch the limits of your body to get out of this comfort zone and experience new territory, unfamiliar territory. And then you can experience totally new possibilities in your life. So anyway, let me know if it's helpful. And this is the last week. We're doing the 3-month program. We extended it due to demand. We had a lot of people scheduling calls that wanted to get in last minute. So this is the last time we're doing it. This is definitely the last day. So if you book a call today, we can get you in, get your foot in the door and see if you want to do the program. It's $3,300 for the 3-month program. We've helped people not only level up their intuition, that we're healers, but also we've helped doctors heal themselves. We've helped people heal from tumors, autoimmune issues, nervous system problems, chronic pain all over the body, digestive issues, blood sugar issues, many health problems, joint problems, spinal issues. We just had a client get an inch taller, getting rid of sciatica, things like this. Everything can be healed if you're ready to transform, okay? And if you want my mentorship, we have financing available, so it can work with anybody's budget as long as you're willing to transform. So you can book a Zoom call. Chloe's dropping the link in the comments right now. This is the last day. If you want to book a call, it'll happen a little bit later this week. That's fine. But book a call today if you want to get your foot in the door. Otherwise, it's going to be more than twice the price to work with me in the future, and we're going to be running ads, and it's going to be a whole nother thing. I love what I do, but it's time to take a break from working 80, 90 hours a week. So this is the last weekend we're offering it, okay? We have financing available. It's $3,300. And if you want to work together, this is the time. If you've been resonating with what I teach and you want to go deeper with this stuff, mentorship is the best way to change your life. It's the reason that I am where I am. And it's the best way if you want to financially free yourself, if you want to emotionally, energetically liberate yourself and experience a higher level of consciousness than most people in the collective will experience. That's why professionals hire coaches. Okay. You are so welcome, Neva. I'm glad this is helpful. Brandon, glad it's helpful. You guys have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. All right. If you want to book a Zoom call, the link is in the bio. And love you guys so much. Have a good one.